All right, we are now live, and I just wanted to say thank you for those who are going to join us today. We are your Get Connected Silence the Violence team, and we're here today to talk about a very sensitive topic. As we all know, it is Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month, National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. So we wanted to come on here to bring that conversation to our audience and our community to see if we can, just talk about some things within that topic and express, how we feel about it, whether we're at our boiling point, our breaking point, our blessed point, or our breakthrough point. Can you gentlemen let me know how my volume is?
You good?
Yeah, you good.
Okay. All right, so I'm also going to let you all know who will be joining us and listening. My name is Shatira Flowers, and I am the executive director of Get Connected, and I will be passing the mic to Mr. Calvin Wesley.
My name is Calvin Wesley, and I am the community lead and outreach person. And I'll be passing the mic over to Andre.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andre Hobbs. I'm the case manager at Get Connected. And I'd just like to say welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much for that. I know that we usually go ahead and
Prayer.
do our prayer, but I want to kind of go around the room before we actually do that and tell what point we're at with the topic so that we can give our guests time to talk.
Hmm.
I think to me, I'm at my blessed point with it. Okay. And I say that because me personally, I have contemplated suicide a couple of times. But when my son was born, it gave me a reason to live. And then I struggled, through some dark spots in my life. And I contemplated again up until my daughter was born. And then I was like, well, you know what? I can't leave two kids out here alone. After my son, and I struggled after my son, having my son, and I still was struggling, through that point. I was really wrestling with, man, I know that my family will take care of my son, you know. So I was really contemplating on leaving him here on earth by himself. But I got pregnant with my daughter, and my daughter, I was like, man, I can't leave two kids, for someone to have to raise. Even though I knew that they would be taken care of, I began to look at myself in a different light. Like, I'm really a mother. They deserve to have a mother, you know. And since then, I've been blessed to not struggle with any of that anymore. And I think that more so it was because just life throwing all of the different curveballs at you and going through all of the trials and tribulations of being a young adult and having done prison time and then coming home and just all kinds of, just struggling with all kinds of stuff. And it makes you depressed. It makes you seem lonely, um, and stuff like that. So I'll pass the mic to Calvin.
Me, I'm at my blessed point. Also, I also tried to commit suicide on my life when I was in my teens, and I took a whole bunch of pills, and yeah, I thought it was gonna do the job only because I was young and didn't understand life and the things that were going on around me, and I felt like I didn't have a voice as a child. And at one point in time when I was in a relationship, I contemplated suicide too because I didn't understand relationships and no one was around to explain to me the ins and outs to everything. So I was left to myself in my mind to come up with the conclusions, which were really painful. And with that being said, me being here today is a blessing in itself because God had really helped me get through some of those troubling times. And I learned to be strong, through it all, and to be able to help those who may be going through the same thing.
Thank
Well,
you so much for sharing. Oh, go ahead, Andre. I'm sorry.
for me, I'm at a blessed point as well. I've never really tried to carry um, suicide out. Just a couple of thoughts here and there, and once I um, gave my life over to Christ, never considered it again. But I mean, you go through moments in life where you think nobody cares, and you just you struggle, and they say it takes a weak person to take his life, but for me, I believe it takes a strong person. You got to be strong to take your own life, and so for me, it's those thoughts came early on, but for the most part, I am blessed to be where I am today and not even considering um, suicide at all. So,
Thank you for that, Brother Andre. We appreciate that. I want to also introduce Miss Tamika. I want to let her introduce herself. But we are so excited to have her on because she's such a prevalent figure in the community when it comes to self care, belonging, and mental health, and just the different various topics of just feeling alone and depression and all of the things that we struggle through as people. I want to be able to hear from her because I know that she has a lot to say. She works with a lot of people within our community who suffer from different things, and I just wanted to bring her on today so that we can have this, as Billy stated on the chat, this candid conversation. Because it is so important for us as Black and Brown people to open up and begin to have this conversation. A lot of us don't know how to have this conversation or are afraid to actually tell someone what they really struggled through. So thank you so much for being here today, Tamika, and I'll go ahead and pass you the mic.
Good afternoon, family. Can everybody hear me okay?
yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I had to pull over for this one. Thank you so much, Chatera, first of all, for inviting me. Um, and I just wanted to say something really quick about what the brother just said about it taking a strong person to commit suicide. I just before I forgot to comment on that, I just wanted to say something. Um, that's that's true in a sense, also. So I agree with you. But what I want to say also, like in those moments when you're right there and you're ready to like claim your own life, like oftentimes, like that is your well, not oftentimes, all the time. Like that is your inner knowing. That's your higher self. Like that's that God talk, letting you know that you're worth more, like your story is not over, like this is not the final say right here. So I just wanted to say yes, like it takes a I would say that suicide is more of a cowardly act, and I'm not saying that to put anybody down that does it, because everybody has their own reasons, and sometimes you just cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. So where also that stigma where people have been judged for suicidal acts, like that shouldn't happen either, because that is the only person that stood in those shoes at that time. And that's the only person that was in that position to have to try to figure that thing out, whatever it was. And that's the only through their own lenses could they also see their support system, their strength, their hope. Like they're the only persons that could see it. So I'm just saying also it's like let's erase that stigma, about the weakness in taking your own life. But I just want to say that I'm just glad that God spoke to you. You listened. Your higher self spoke. Like you chimed in. Your intuitive guidance let you know that your story is not over. Um, so I'm Tamika. I am a mental health trauma informed specialist, and I say suicide awareness champion in the community. Um, since COVID, like suicide has been a big thing for a long time, but with our people, like our people, our brown skinned people, since COVID, a huge light has been shed on our community that's struggling with mental health. Um, and I think, that's because we had to sit with it. And oftentimes when we had to sit with it, we weren't sitting with the same people that told us not to talk about this. Pick your head up, don't cry, like you strong, you got this. Oftentimes we had to sit by ourselves. And we didn't have that person behind us basically advocating not to pay attention to our mental health. So now it's out in the forefront. It's nothing that we can do about it, but deal with it. And the answer is it's never suicide. And I see this stuff in my business every day. It's never suicide. Even
And
I was go ahead.
I said, Amen.
I was telling Sister Jatera this morning. I used to travel around the country and talk about suicide and microaggressions with my cousin, and she actually wrote a book. It's called "What Don't Kill Me Makes Me Stronger," and it's on Black women and suicide. Black women for years had the lowest suicide rate by far because of that part where, and I have to say, Black men play a huge part in this role also, where we have to care for everybody else, and we tend to come last. And when you having to sit by yourself and deal with life, it's right here in front of you. You can't go outside. Your resources are slim. Everybody's got something different going on that's stressing them out. So you really can't call and expect somebody to answer the phone and have space to listen to what you need them to listen to.
That's
That
real.
means that means we're shaped to be codependent. So for a long time, we weren't taking our lives because we were too worried about taking care of this person, taking care of that person. Well, what happens if this person finds me? What will this person do without me? When we left to sit alone, that thought could be, well, it might not even be family that find us. We
That's,
losing so many people around us. It's like, seeing death is a thing now.
I think that we have become, desensitized or
Hmm.
have to death, because it's we wake up and see it like every day, like
Every day.
and like all over the world though, all kinds of death, whether it's from a catastrophic event, whether it's from a mass shooter, whether it's from, somebody committing suicide, or whether it's from police brutality or black on black crime. It just comes in so many different forms right
It
now.
does.
You have to
Hmm.
take in. And one of the Facebook users is saying, mental health wellness should be taught in curriculum like math and reading.
yes.
Yes, it should. Yes, it should.
Glad that you said that because
I'm fighting for it. I'm fighting for it.
that's awesome.
Hmm.
I'm glad that that was brought up because it's so many children right now who that's the leading cause amongst kids right now, leading cause of death from what 10 to maybe 20 something years old. I don't really know the real statistics, but I'm looking every day, at the news, and I'm looking at Shatter Our Silence. This campaign that they have going on the news. They had a banquet and different things like that, and they're trying to bring a lot of awareness to suicide. And we're thinking about a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, 12, 13, 14, 15 that thinks about taking their own life. And these are babies who have not even lived life yet. It's really sad. And what does that say for us as a society and a population of people who could allow children to walk around us and we really not know that they're even at that point? Because let's just face it, a lot of people who commit suicide, either one or two things are happening. Somebody's going to say, oh my goodness, I knew that person was going to do that, or they seem like a person that might do that, right? Or you have those people that say, I had no idea. I never thought that that person would do something like that. So it just reminds me of how so far out of touch with one another we are as people.
On top of that, too, Tratera, is that it's vital that we understand the signs because the signs are there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't believe that anybody just wakes up one day and decide I'm taking my life today. Like they've thought about it, they've contemplated, they've fought those battles. So like we also need to be learning the signs. Like what does this look like when it's stirring around in somebody's mind?
Yeah, because I did want to say, Tamika, um, in the black community, us coming up, we was taught to be quiet and listen, right? So that's what they taught us, right? But that is still pretty much the slogan, but now it's
Yeah.
more the younger women, they are not getting the proper teachings and the tools to be able to raise their kids, and then when they stuck in their own mess, right? And
Yeah.
you got these kids around the house who are being left to themselves. They are loved from a standpoint to where I'm gonna make sure you get to school, this, that, and the third, but everything else is being neglected. You know what I mean? As far as like people who struggle with their gender. You know what I mean? Kids who love to, and then they seeing how opposite sex are. I mean, they seeing how transgenders are being treated in school. So just imagine having that thought in your head, you struggling, and you can't talk to your mom or your dad because of, the language that people use, what I'm saying, in the homes, you fag, you gay. So now, what I mean, it's like who I go to. But you left with all these thoughts, and that's pressure. I was talking to another mother yesterday, and she was telling me, she said, man, my son at school, like, he don't know whether to go be with the people in the gang or what I'm saying, it was another group that pretty much a group that act as if they were better than everybody else. You know what I mean? The prestigious group. So he was confused, and he was telling his mom
Yeah.
this, and he didn't know how to fit in. But it got to a point to where he got the ball into his mom because he didn't want people to treat him a certain type of way. You know what I mean? He wanted to just be respected. And then he didn't like to see weak people, what I'm saying, who couldn't fend for themselves being picked on. But this is a kid who's taken in life, and there's nobody, what I'm saying, really around. His mom can give it to him, what I mean, only from her version, but it's rare that you get people who actually experienced it and been through it and who can explain it to him to where it can give some enlightenment.
I was in a meeting a couple weeks ago, and the school system, the behaviors, the teachers. This was what the discussion was, and a young lady, she stood up and she said, I'm tired, I'm sick and tired of hearing about trauma being used as an excuse for the behaviors of the children, the way the schools run, so on and so forth. And I had to say that trauma is not an excuse, it is the problem. And these parents cannot give what they don't have, they can't teach what they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. That's right.
Fine, when it comes from parent to children, if we ain't got it, we can't give it.
That's real.
We weren't taught to share things about mental health. We weren't. That was not a discussion in our household. So
You
guess
know,
what? Now the kids don't know either. Now we know that this is important. So we
Yeah.
gotta start teaching things in a better way, in a different light.
well,
Definitely a time of emergency.
you
Yes.
know, the youth suicide. I was reading it was about 12 youths a day that commit suicide.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
but you know, when a kid is at school, I mean, kids can be cruel to another kid, and I've always, you know, the slogan "hurting people hurt people."
Mhm.
So when kids are hurting, they have a tendency to hurt others, and they be so cruel. I mean, when kids get home and nobody's at home, they're left to do their own thinking, and a lot of times I don't think parents come in and even, how was your day at school? What happened? What did you do? I mean, these questions got to be asked because you can't leave a child to his own thinking. You got to step in somehow, some way, and ask those hard questions, which we sometimes avoid. We avoid the tough questions, the tough conversations, but we also losing children. And I mean, you know, not just children, but adults as well, you know. So
What's the just Tamika, a question? What you think the solution to where it can get into the homes and the mothers not view it as like something like, man, get that out of my face, you know what I mean, you trip, you know what I mean, to where it's looked upon as something negative. How do we work that out?
So I would say, first of all, the first thing that's important is bringing in that safety aspect, like creating that safe space to even talk about mental health. Like, we got so many people that think that mental health means that you're crazy. Like, mental health means that you're, walking around on the corner talking to somebody that they can't see. Anything that involves like your ability to make decisions, your ability to rationalize, like your ability to just think clearly, follow through your day-to-day activities. That's all involving your mental health. So first of all, like, that stigma needs to be broken. We need more things in the community to talk about this, and that's actually that's something that's being worked on too. The big thing is triggers. The big
Yes.
thing is triggers. And what if we don't know? What if we don't know what a trigger is? What if we don't know that we're being triggered? And then we got people out here pulling the wrong trigger
Ah,
because they're coming from the outside instead of taking this stuff and going within to become more self-aware, to look in the mirror. Like, instead they take the trigger and they
I like
shooting on
that.
the outside.
Wrong triggers,
Like,
pull triggers.
that's right. And
mm,
when you're triggered, if you're not becoming self aware and learning that that trigger is not there to destroy you, but it's there to deliver you, you're not going to pull the wrong trigger. So this stuff is vital. Like right now, I actually just did the first part of a 4-part series at the Nordloff. It's a series called Triggered Now What? And that is that everything that we're talking about right here, like, is all within those workshops. And I got a large enough of a space so everybody in the community that wants to be there to learn, like, they can be there to learn. It's free. You come, you get comfortable. It's a safe space. You can eat,
I
because
love
we
it.
got to come together and learn about this stuff so that we can bring more love and light instead of pulling the wrong trigger. Behind every homicide, there was a trigger.
Absolutely.
hmm.
Behind every suicide, there was a trigger. Behind every act of disrespect, there's a trigger. So
So
how do we
safe
come together and learn about this? What are triggers? How do we deal with them? How do we see them coming? How do we use them as the tools that they are?
So to me it seemed like starting with for the community activists and advocates and leaders that work in the community, it seemed like it should start with a lot of us. You know what I mean? Because like you said, you can't teach what you don't get. You know, it's one thing to want to help in the community, but when you run into these challenges, it's like, how do you operate? You know what I mean? And yes, it's good. That's what resources are for. But I view it right now is the need for it to be a lot of foots on the ground combating this issue is high, you know. So we need to teach as many as people as we can and deploy them out, you know, in all these community centers.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Tamika, I
Yeah.
got a
And
question.
how can? Go ahead.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is agitation and irritability, is that one of the signs of suicide as well?
Wait, say that one more time. Is
Uh, uh, Agitation and irritability,
uh-huh.
is that are those signs of suicide as well?
I would say yes. Anything that throws a person outside of their normal character. The other thing, if you know a neat freak, somebody that's very particular about how things are kept, if you see things falling apart around them, things are also probably falling apart within them.
Mm.
If you notice somebody that's been in touch and like now they're not answering their phone, um, if they're not answering their phone, they're not talking about things, they're isolating, like these are all signs of that disconnect before it happens. When people start to give things away that are sentimental to them, because like I said, this is all a process.
Yes, man.
People don't just wake up one day and decide that they're going to take their life.
I'm just speaking from my own experience.
Mm-hmm.
When I took a whole bunch of I took like 30 something pills,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking to myself when I took these pills, I said, ain't nobody listening to me. I said, you know what I mean? Nobody cared. Look, this is how I'm taking life in. And I remember it
Mm-hmm.
as a kid. And my granny did something to me and it upset me. And one thing led to another to where I'm sitting in the living room by myself while everybody outside on a holiday. I done went in the medicine cabinet and got all these pills. You hear me? And while nobody was around, I just got to popping them, and nothing ever happened, but I was left to my thoughts and I felt like didn't nobody understand me.
And that's why it's so important. And this is actually, honestly, this is next Monday's topic at Triggered Now What? When you don't have anybody around you that can listen to you, if you don't have an outlet, how do you deal with your triggers if you have no outlet? Because you had no outlet. So what you did is you took pills. You didn't want to kill yourself when you took those pills. You wanted somebody to pay attention to you when you took those pills.
And actually,
Nothing happened.
I wanted to die.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest with you. In my head, I didn't want to be here. I'm gonna be honest with you.
So then this is, I'm going to say this and don't take it the wrong way. How
Yes,
old
ma'am.
were you again?
43.
43. When it happened. No, not now. When
No,
that happened, how old were you?
that was in 94, 95.
Okay. Because so 94, 94, 95. So you were a teenager back then. So okay, like I said, take this lightly. If you want to die, if you really want to die, if this is it, this is the end for you, right? You're going to do something where you know it's the end for you.
Yeah.
You took pills, you waited for something to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
Oftentimes, what we think we want is not what we want. But when we can't get the attention or the validation that we really need, we take on different measures. You didn't want to die, because if you did, you would have done something that would have killed you.
That's real. Yeah.
When that didn't work, you would have did something else. But what I would say, when you did that, I hope that people started to pay attention, unless it was something that they never seen. I don't know. You said
No, it
nothing
was still
happened. Did you ever?
no, actually, it was still something that never got addressed. It was
Okay.
God had just blessed me with a strong spirit. You know what I mean? Honestly
Yes.
speaking, uh, man, when you it's funny that you brought up that saying, "What don't kill me, what don't kill you, make you strong."
Yeah.
I used to chant that in my head through all my
Yep.
hard challenges in life. I used to
Yep.
chant that because I never wanted to be weak and just give in. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I used to recite that in my mind, and that's what helped me through a lot.
Yeah. And if you think of all of the struggles that we go through on a day-to-day basis, every trigger that we have, it all happens for a reason. It's all part of our ultimate story. We just got to learn that these are just things that are presenting us with an opportunity to put more tools in our tool bag.
Yes, man.
You
And
know,
when we're
being
triggered, we need to go to that tool bag instead of pulling the wrong trigger, whether it's on ourselves, whether it's on somebody else, whether it's taking pills, whether whatever it is, go to that tool bag.
you know, when I was younger and I was known when I knew about suicide, and you know, I used to say somebody or this person had to be crazy because you mentioned that when people have mental health, people automatically think they're crazy. Same thing I thought, and anybody that committed suicide, I thought was crazy until I got educated.
Yep.
And when I got educated, whoa, how I learned I didn't know nothing, about suicide or mental health, you know. But today, I mean, I empathize and sympathize with people for their conditions, man. This is real serious. And I mean, I found out that whatever I'm going through, if I need to talk to somebody, um, that really gets me through. But other people don't see that.
And just to say, when you're empathizing, it could be a perfect stranger that you're empathizing with. You could be saving that person's life and you don't even know it. That's why we have to share our light no matter what the situation looks like. You save people life when you show them that they matter, show them that you care.
Yes, man.
Empathy saves lives.
Yeah.
Amen. That's good. I like that.
I want to ask you this, Tamika. Are you partnering with anyone to bring the 4-part series Triggers Now What?
Actually, I've partnered with Nami
Okay.
for Triggered Now What.
Okay.
So, and I'll say this: I'm in a partnership. I'm in a partnership with Nami anyways,
Mm-hmm.
but there's nothing to say that you cannot be a part of Trigger Now What.
Right, right,
I
I,
designed Trigger Now What for a community affair.
right,
So,
right. I
mhm.
kind of, I guess, was wanting to see if someone was co-hosting that with you, or if you were doing that on your own.
Okay, so for that part, it's I invited Kevin Thomas. So Kevin Thomas was there last week. But when I tell you, sis, you're welcome.
Okay.
Anybody right here is welcome. Just let me know. It's at the Nordloff Monday 5:30 to 7:30 is part two. And we'll skip the first week of October because that's Mental Illness Awareness Week. So then we'll pick back up October 9th. And then October 16th is in the big auditorium. And I would love more of like a panel, a larger panel besides just myself and Kevin, but I'm also welcoming others for part two and part three as well.
Mm, okay. Okay. Is he co-hosting all of these with you, or just a
We
couple of
haven't really so his thing is that he's there. He's there. He wants to be there and support. I invited him to co-host the final event on October 16th,
them? Uh-huh.
but he opened himself up. He wants to be there at all of them. So Um, he's gonna be there. He'll say his part, but you can be there too.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you
Yeah,
for
you can be there too.
thank you for that.
I'll call you after this call. I'll reach out to you and let's see
Okay.
how we can make that work because that would be very powerful, sis.
Yeah, there's another thing that I wanted to bring up. I was on LinkedIn yesterday and I was watching this video where this guy is sitting in his car and I think that he's like doing like Lyft or Uber or something like that. And this guy almost runs into him or something, and the guy just jumps out and he just starts like vomiting all over this man, like verbally vomiting, right? And the passenger in the back seat was like, how could how are you so calm? While this man is just throwing all this hate to you and everything, how are you so calm? And he said, well, one thing that I have learned throughout my life, basically, and I'm paraphrasing, he said that people go around basically with these triggers all day, things that trigger them all day, and they have it bottled in, and it's pent up anger and different things like that. And they're just really not even, but subconsciously looking for someone to dump it on, you know.
Yeah, that's a
And
good.
I thought that was so profound. He said, so when you find someone that dumps their garbage, is what he was saying. He said they're like garbage trucks, and they're looking for someone to dump their garbage on, is what he said. He said, so when someone dumps their garbage on you, don't take it personal. Just, go on about your day or try to help them or whatever situation that you are in, a mind frame that you're in at that time. Either you try to console them, you try to tell them, to still have a nice day, but you don't take it personal. You react in a different way because you know that people walk around like natural garbage cans. And I thought that analogy was so profound because I believe that is how a lot of confrontations happen. We talk about road rage all the time, right? Like, oh my goodness. I know that I have road rage, right? A little bit, a teeny weeny bit. I don't go no far as hurting nobody.
A teeny bit.
But I be fussing in my car at people, right? Sometimes, when I get mad when I get cut off. But my point is, it's like all of these things that you go through throughout your day, you can really be strong enough to not allow them to alter your day, or you could be in a mental state of mind where you're weak enough to let it alter your entire week. It just depends on what kind of mental health tools that you have and what ability and knowledge and awareness that you're at that moment, in your life to be able to combat certain things and not take it so personal.
That's good.
If I could add one thing to that, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people I'm a strong advocate of the four agreements. Okay. Be impeccable with your word always, which to me, like that translates to always know who you are.
Right.
Nobody else can tell you who you are if you already know who you are. Regardless of how anybody else treats you, they can't make you feel like you're somebody that you're not or like you've done something that you didn't do. So, agreement number one, to be impeccable with your word always, right? So,
That's right.
number two, don't take things personal. The way that a person treats you, whether no matter how good it is or how bad it is, it don't have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
That's right.
That speaks of their spirit.
Their character.
And agreement number three is to never make assumptions. Don't assume that they know better. Don't assume that they care. Don't assume that they have the same tools in their tool bag that you have. And number four is to always do best at one, two, and three. Being impeccable with your word, not taking things personal, and not making assumptions about anything. And that would take out all of those trigger reactions where, you know what, well, they did this to me, so then now I'm going to do this. We pulling all the wrong triggers when we can just always know who we are. Don't take what that person is doing personal, and don't assume that you understand their position as to why do they act like this. They know better than that. They know that hurt. They're not even going to apologize. Forget their apology. Forgive them anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
I
Forgive them
love that.
anyway.
Love
That
that.
has nothing to do with them. Has everything to do with you.
I
Yes,
like
ma'am.
that.
So I just wanted to share that.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We really, really appreciate that. Man, that's profound. That's really something that those are tools, really. I
We
mean,
got these tool bags. We carry them around with us every day, everywhere we go. And half the time, we don't even realize that this tool bag right on our hip.
The blessing is you train your mind. You know what I mean? Like you said, you got the tools, but you trained your mind to be ready for when you run into the issues. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes,
And like you said, it's not personal. And this is what I tell people: take it. We need to learn to take it easy on each other. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because the majority of us are broken. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And the moment someone is trying to heal, of course, you're gonna get some kickback from it. You know what I mean? Because they
yeah,
going, they changing behaviors and tendencies and stuff. You know what I mean? So that's hard within itself. So don't make the recovering aspect of it more harder for them. Be more understanding and loving. Don't personalize to where you think it's something personal about you, like you said. And I think that's the biggest issue that we got, even when we speaking in the community. People come from a selfish place, and they so ready to tear a person apart and say they have no excuse for acting the way they act.
yeah, yeah. Um, you know what, Calvin? I like the way that you broke that down. But one thing that I wanted to ask is, do we have any stats? Do Andre, do you have any stats for us?
Yeah, let me I got a couple right. Hold on one second. First off, I want to read this. It says that suicide thoughts, much like mental health conditions, can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, or background. In fact, suicide is often the result of an untreated mental health condition. Suicide thoughts, although common, should not be considered normal and often indicate more serious issues.
Mm.
You know, so I think Tamika talked about that. You know, it's usually mental health serious issues, underlining serious issues. But also, I got this. Uh, Suicide is the third leading cause of death of young people between the ages of 15 and 24.
Mm,
5,000 young people commit complete suicide in the US each year. Each year, there are approximately 10 youth suicides for every 100,000 youth.
Wow.
mm.
Every 2 hours and 11 minutes, a person under the age of 25 completes suicide.
yeah,
In the past 60 years, the suicide rate has quadrupled for males 15 to 24 years old and has doubled for females of the same age.
Mm.
For every completed suicide by youth, it is estimated that 100 to 200 attempts are made. And the last one is firearms remain the most commonly used suicide method among youth, accounting for 49% of all completed suicides. So, like
yeah.
Tamika said, triggers.
That's right. That's right. Triggers.
Those statistics hit hard, don't they?
Yeah,
Woo!
that was deep.
They hit hard.
5,000 a year.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it
yes, yes. 5,000 young people complete suicide in the US each year.
That's a lot of kids.
It's a
is.
lot.
And and not even to mention the huge part that bullying plays in all of this too.
That's right.
These kids oftentimes are being bullied right out of living their own life.
Yep. Yep.
because they don't act
And
like the
what
rest of the kids.
that's right. And but what would alleviate that part? I won't say alleviate it, but what would help it? The four agreements would help it.
Yeah.
Let them do what they're gonna do. Know who you are anyway. Know who you are. You're not who they're projecting you to be. You are who you know you are. You're who God made you to be.
Amen.
That's right.
If they're mean to you, that's their problem. It's not even nothing to do with you. Their soul is struggling. They need help. They're in a mental health crisis, but they're projecting it onto somebody else.
Yeah.
That's right.
If we could get that part out there and get the awareness out with that right there, it's so many lives would be saved, whether it's suicide or homicide. All of our brothers in the system, triggers,
Yeah.
triggers. That's not who you are. Like, okay, that's who you're
We can't hear you, Tamika. Oh, now we can. I can hear you now. Your background now.
Oh, I didn't know that I lost you guys. I'm sorry. But I was just speaking of the prison system.
Mm-hmm.
We got so many of our brothers in the prison system because of triggers. And because still trying to stand up to this as this person that you used to be, or this person that people expect you to be, or this person that you have seen other people be. So you feel like you need to, own up to that, to who that person was. Be who you are. Know who you are.
That's right.
Recognize your triggers for what they are, and stop letting people project stuff onto you because you're not going to take it personal. If we could get that awareness out there, I, you know,
You're absolutely right. You're right.
I'm one person, but if we multiply it, we can save a lot of lives.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. No.
Everybody has a platform, whether it's social media, whether it's word of mouth, whether it's just walking around blessing people with a note, whether it's a sign, something that you wear on your shirt, no matter what it is, everybody has a platform.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about how you receive things, huh?
You know what, brother?
That's
It is, I would say more so even responding versus reacting. Yep. How do you perceive it? How do you respond to it versus reacting to it? Respond, you're going to learn something from it. You're going to be self aware. Reacting, you're just doing something. You just trigger happy. That's the next series, by the way. And we should partner completely on that one, Sister Chair. Trigger
Okay.
happy. That starts right after triggered. Now what? Well, we
Oh,
need to get together for both of them, but that's the next complete series.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that. I wanted to bring up the warning signs. I wanted to bring it up on the screen so that we can see it, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to blow it up just a little bit more. Um, and you guys tell me if you can see it or not.
yeah, I
Right?
can see it. I can
Yeah, I
see
can
it.
see it.
Okay. So one of them is talking about wanting to die. Um, great guilt or shame. And to me, guilt or shame come from those bullying situations when we're talking
Yes.
about youth, right? Um, let's see here. Being a burden to others. Man, how many of our kids think they are a burden to us because of the way that we may respond to certain situations, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm gonna go back to the right side of this though. They so that these are the talk about. So they're talking about wanting to die, great guilt or shame, or being a burden to others. But how they're feeling is empty and hopeless, trapped, or having no reason to live. And Tamika talked about a hit on some of those as well. Extreme sadness or anxious. Andre, there's one that you talked about, agitation, agitated, or
Yeah.
rage, and then unbearable emotion, unbearable emotional or physical pain. Right? Are you guys still able to see that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then a big thing that Tamika mentioned was notice when someone is out of their behavior. Notice when they're out of character, right? Changing behavior, such as making a plan or researching ways to die, withdrawing from friends, saying goodbye, giving away important items. She mentioned that, or making a will. And then taking dangerous risks, such as driving extremely fast, displaying extreme mood swings, eating or sleeping more or less, and then using drugs or alcohol more often. If these warning signs apply to you or someone you know, get help as soon as possible, particularly if the behavior is new or has increased recently. And you can always dial 988 for suicide and the crisis lifeline. You can call or text 988. And you can also chat at 988lifeline.org. They also have a crisis text line where you can text hello to 741-741. And we got that from the National Institute of Mental Health suicide prevention page. So, man, that's a lot of the things that you spoke about.
I just want to say one last thing, Chatera. Um, when we're speaking of the different support lines and stuff that we're calling, or even people that we're looking to for help,
Yes.
don't don't take those responses personal either.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because somebody's on the other end of the line and they work for a prevention line, and I'm saying that because within my own business, I've nearly lost people because of taking that personal.
Mm-hmm.
Because people get in that place where they need to feel like they're the only person in the world, period. Like, as selfish as that may sound, if you're suicidal, you might need to feel like the only person in the world at that time.
Yeah.
So just that understanding that those are still humans on the other end of the line, and we still can't take that personal regardless of what their position is.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to say that too.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, Tamika. We really, really appreciate you. And go ahead and tell the audience who will be viewing this, they're going to be streaming this over and over again, where you're going to be located at and days and times for your triggers. Now, what? Can you share that with us real quick before you get off of the line?
Absolutely. So Triggered Now What is being held at the Nordloff at 118 North Main in Rockford. And right now it's every Monday. It's Monday, September 25th, skipping the first week of October. So picking back up October 9th and then October 16th from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Nordloff Theater. So, and then I'll keep you guys up to date to Trigger Happy too. Well, we're going to be partners in Trigger Happy, so we're going
Yeah.
to all know anyways.
Yeah.
So, but outside of that, I can also be found on social media under Infinite Soul Vibrations or Tamika Meek, or at my business, Infinite Soul Vibrations, 333 East 8th.
All right.
Thank you, Tamika.
Thank
I have an
you.
open door. I have safe rooms within my business. So if you need to,
So, in case you need to come in and have a conversation or someone to talk to, just a safe space, meditation. I believe you have all that in there, right? Meditation, healing, different things like that. So, thank you again for being
yes,
with
yes.
us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. Love and light to all of you guys. And Chatera, I'll be getting in touch with you today, okay?
All right. Sounds
You have a
good.
blessed one, man.
All right, man. Just to kind of to recap, it's something that plagues us as people. It makes me think about, that it does not, suicide does not discriminate. Let's put it like that. And it makes me think of, recently when Regina King lost her only child and son to suicide.
Yeah.
And I grew up watching Regina King from 227 to, oh my goodness, she played in so many different things. Poetic Justice, Boys in the Hood. I mean, just every film that I could think of.
You say she lost her son to suicide?
Yes, she did. She lost her
Yep.
only child and son to suicide, and
Amen.
she struggled with a lot. And it makes me know that it does not matter what your stature is.
Yeah.
Okay. It does not matter who you are, who you think you are, what color, nationality, creed, religious background. It really does not matter. The devil can creep in, and if it happens, then we have people around that person who really feel like they have lost, of course, a significant person within their family, and some people don't know how to take it. And it's sad to say that sometimes it is the only time when people start taking things seriously is when it happens to them, you know.
Yeah.
And we just want to be more proactive to make our community aware of what those signs are. Share a little bit about us personally so that they understand that we too, some of us here have struggled, with thoughts of suicide and have been able to overcome that. Like, just like I said, it doesn't discriminate. And we always want to be mindful that there could be someone close to us or someone just in our everyday passing who struggles with suicidal thoughts. So, always wanting to be mindful of those individuals and just being able to recognize those warning signs and knowing how to get that the kind of help that a person would need, right?
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So big shout out to Tamika for coming on and educating us in that area. Definitely looking forward to going on with her. And what did she say the topic was going to be?
Something about triggers. What did she say, Calvin? You remember? Triggers.
Trigger
See,
happy?
Huh?
Was it
trigger
trigger?
happy. Yeah, something like yeah.
So yeah, a lot of us are just being introduced to the
Terminology she used.
terminology and definition of what that could mean. So let's I know that we didn't get an opportunity to say a prayer, but let's say a prayer for those who would be struggling with suicidal thoughts right now, and just hope that they are strong enough to overcome that battle.
All right.
Okay.
Father God, we come before you, Lord, and we just thank you, Father, for health. We thank you for life. I know, Father God, some people don't get to experience life because of their thoughts and suicide attempts and things of just feeling no one loves them. But Father, I know they're loved, we're loved, and thank you for the love that you give us to share with others, Father. And we just pray, Father, for the ones that's out here that's going through the rough times and thinking they're nothing. There are something, Father, and they have something to live for. So give them the strength, Father, to talk to someone, to speak to someone, Father, and come closer to you because you can prevent a lot of things from taking place in people's lives. So we thank you and we give you honor and praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Man,
Thank you, Jesus. Yes, thank you for that. That was beautiful. Well, you guys, thanks so much. Again, I think that this was another fruitful conversation, another opportunity to educate. I don't know if either of you have any shout outs that you'd like to give.
Well, I'm just going to go with the daily nugget for the nugget.
There you go. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
here we go. Suicidal problems is a pattern of killing the wrong thing. Yes, something has to die. It's just not you.
Mm,
Perhaps it's bitterness that has to die, but it's not you. Perhaps that relationship has to die, but it's not you. Perhaps those habits of yours has to die, but it's not you. Suicide makes you kill the wrong thing. Yes, something has to die, but it's not you. Live on.
that's right. That's right.
man,
Thank you for that. Thank you for
man.
that. Calvin, you got any last
Shout out to Fritz. You know what I'm saying? His birthday. You know, we about to have a nice time for the B day. So happy
hey,
birthday to Fritz.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Happy birthday to you. Sorry that he couldn't be with us today, but he is always with us in spirit, and we rooting for you. So
Amen.
see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.